Philadelphia. People, raise your hand. You're from Philadelphia. What is the name of the river? Not the Delaware, but the Schuylkill Hill? Schuylkill. Schuylkill. I like that one. I was walking beside it, this river, and there were balloons tied to the fence of the highway that led up to the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and I believe it was Rocky Balboa's birthday, so I grabbed one, tied it around my neck, and it was a green, glorious balloon raising above my head, in which I took into the Philadelphia Museum of Art to wander about the Arshile Gorky exhibit. He was around in the 30s and the 40s, and lovely flashes of color, lots of different assemblages, portraiture, and I took it around a little bit and found one that I was interested in, some of his yellow triangles and lines, and I took out my book and a wax China marker yellow crayon to put some of his triangles on my own paper, and a woman, a museum attendant, she comes up to me and says, "There's no sketching allowed." And I said, "Oh, well, is it all right if I take notes?" She said, "Oh, notes are all right. Yeah, take notes. Notes are great." I said, "All right." And then I started to take notes, and she looked over my shoulder, and she says, "Are those circles and triangles?" And I said, "Yeah, there's lines too." And she said, "What did I tell you? There's no sketching allowed." And I said, "Well, it just so happens that I'm addicted to the alphabet and I need to write. So if by chance they look like circles and triangles that Arshile Gorky did, don't worry. I'm not going to present them in an Arshile Gorky fashion. I'm going, it was my tax return I was writing, actually. I'm getting ready for March, and I wrote out my whole tax return in front of Arshile Gorky's painting, and then the museum attendant, she disappeared, and she came back with the curator, and it just so happened in March they have a free space, and it's going to go up on the wall after Arshile Gorky's retrospective comes down. But the balloon was still up above my head, and I took that balloon all over, and other attendants said happy birthday, and they said, "My, you could probably see really, really high parts of the painting very easily if you let yourself go." And I said, "Yeah," and then I went downstairs to the main lobby, and William D. came up to me. He was a museum attendant, and he said, "That balloon needs to come off." And I looked at him and said, "Only if you produce a pair of long cutting shears." And he said, "All right, follow me." And we went through crevices of that lobby that I don't even think he's ever been to, and I was glad that he was going. He seemed like he could use some activity, get to know some people, the interns and all that, looking for these scissors. And all the while, my pal who went with me to the museum to see Arshile Gorky, she comes up to me and says, "We're leaving now to go meet Rob on the trolley." But I let William keep going. He hadn't said anything in terms of not wanting to do what he was doing. So he had at it. I went to the coat check. By the time he dragged one of the assistants with the scissors over to me, right to my balloon string neck, I told him, "We don't need it anymore, we're leaving." And then he melted away, and I went to the guest book, and under name, I wrote green balloon. Under mailing address, I wrote the sky, and under under remarks, I wrote, I love William D.